Hello and welcome back to another review with me, Kevin, from Kevin Grant on Whisky. This week we've got something I would probably say it's a little bit different. We're back on Islay, we're at Bruichladdich, but this is I wouldn't even really say independent bottling. This has been a kind of whisky aficionado, whisky nut that's bought a cask of Bruichladdich and bottled it, but there's a wee story to it as well. You can see it's not open, so whilst we're chatting here, I'll get this open. You might always see I do this in videos. I always pour the bottle upside down first before I pour it. I always do that just to try and wet the cork in case it's dried out, and it kind of prevents it from like cracking inside and the cork snapping. So that's the only reason I do that. So I'll get this open, pour it in the glass, give it a wee minute just to open up. See, get a good. Nice wee glug. So what we've got here is a Bruichladdich. It's a 10-year-old single cask bourbon, cask matured. Cask strength at 59.9% ABV. We've got everything here from the cask number, which was used, was 3856. But let's go back a bit first. Let's go to Bruichladdich Distillery itself. I think it's the only distillery on Islay that produces 4 different types of alcohol. You've got Bruichladdich, which is an unpeated version of whisky. You've got Port Charlotte, which is heavily peated. Octomore, which is a most heavily peated, and they also do gin, the botanist. So you've got 4 different styles, hitting all types of palates, covering all bases. The biggest employer, local employer on the island, everything gets done on the island, bottled, labelled, the full works. So this is what terroir is all about, what Bruichladdich are. They want everything done there and kept there, because anything that then comes to mainland Scotland, they don't believe it to be a true Islay malt, and maybe some other whiskies on that island aren't true Islay malts. But sitting with this as well, so this is 10 years old, as we say, a private cask bottling. This was also held and aged on Islay in the warehouses in Port Charlotte, and also bottled on Islay. So this is legit stuff, which is really, really good. This is actually in memory of James Mackenzie Nichol, who sadly passed away and wasn't able to see this bottle being opened. But what the story goes, or what I am led to believe, is that James has been one of the angels that's been going in and sneaking some of these drams. The cask was bought by James and Jamie in 2010 and bottled at a 10-year-old. It was very, very close to being 11-year-old. But the decision was made to keep it 10 because they weren't too keen on the odd number in Bruichladdich, so we don't really see much of it. So they bottled it right before it turned 11 years old. I think it was the tail end of 2020 to the start of 2021. I can't remember exactly. 234 bottles now done, 59.9%, straight out of the cask, in the bottle, non-chill filtered, natural colour. We have this, a single cask bottle of Bruichladdich. Islay whisky. I know what I like about Bruichladdich. One of my favourite distilleries on the island, probably is. It's the best tour I've had so far, and my visits over there. So I'm expecting nice things from this, and especially when this has been picked by people that love whisky. It's not been picked by, sometimes, maybe not always true, but investors just like to buy casks to buy and sell on. But this has been bottled because there's a lot of kind of meaning behind it. It's a conversation starter. So speaking to Jamie, he's told me that people have had so many different tastes from it, smells, and it just starts a conversation. I think we can kind of love that all with whisky. So this has only been sitting in the glass for as long as I've been talking, and that's probably been longer than anyone ever imagines, because I can talk for Scotland. But I'm going to nose this. I'm going to get it on the palate. See what I do. I've got my little water pipette here as well, because I think we're going to have to add water for being such a high alcohol. I've not had any whiskey before this or any beer, so my palate is quite neutral just now, so I'm hoping to get the kind of best experience and first impressions. So colour wise, look at that, it's very light. It's from Heaven Hill. The bourbon barrel's from Heaven Hill as well. When the thing with that is that burnt down a few years ago, so that kind of casks the Bruichladdich now use are going to be different, because a lot of that stock unfortunately didn't make it. So let's see what we get. On the nose, nice bourbon cask, good ABV, natural colour, cask strength. This ticks all my boxes. 10 years old, practically 11. Let's see how we do. The legs on it just now are just sticking there, like they're struggling to roll down the glass, and that's just with that high ABV and I think a really good kind of contact with the wood. It doesn't smell like 59%, 60%. I get a sweetness to it. I get it's kind of like those marshmallow bananas that you used to get off the ice cream van, especially in the UK, if you know what I'm talking about, those little bananas. That tropical note to it. There is that soft bourbon-esque toffee vanilla that you do get, that little bit of kind of, I like to say, like coastal hit to it, the oceanic, if that's even a word. If not, I'll patent that, oceanic. That soft breeze, banana tropical hit. The coconut shavings come in as well. I think that's just what I usually get from a really quality bourbon cask. I get a little bit of wood in there as well. It's tropical, coastal, oaky, like dry wood shavings on top of that kind of the dried coconut as well. It smells fantastic. I love that. And that's just straight. That's even like had enough time, I would say, to really open up, but it smells wonderful. Right, let's try this on the palate. Let's see how we do with this. So slams everyone. So on the nose, the alcohol I don't really get, but there, I think it's probably because it's my first dram, so to get that initial taste, there's a nice spice at the end of it, like a very soft ginger, white pepper note. Very warm and going down. And maybe because it's my first dram, I'll go back for another sip in a wee second, because it just takes time for your palate to adjust, because sometimes when something's such high alcohol, I do find that your palate, if it's your first dram of the day, especially going such a high ABV, is you miss a lot of the flavour due to the fact that your palate gets shocked very quickly with the high content of alcohol. So I go back in a wee second, hopefully the palate's climatised. But it was nice. I'm salivating as well, it's like I'm eating a lime. There's that nice citrusy hit to it as well. Now back on the nose, I'm getting more coastal. The just kind of traditional single cask Bruichladdich that I've had before, I definitely get that. Let's try again, see if we can get other flavours in the palate this time, see if we can get a good kind of breakdown of flavours and tastes. It's quite citrusy. There's nice oakiness to it. It's staying with those nice bourbon hits, a lot more kind of the coconut shavings, nice wood, oak wood to it. It's more, there's something there, what is that I'm getting? I'm going to add a wee bit of water. Just a few drops. Just look at this intertwine all together. So see if that's going to change much. I think this will maybe change more on the palate than it will on the nose. Yeah, that's still staying with those kind of banana sweets, marshmallow bananas, coastal, wood, coconut, oily, a bit of oil in there. And that kind of bit more citrus is coming through as well, which I'm kind of getting on the palate. So that very first hit I was saying I got a bit of spice and things to it. I think that was just for the first alcohol. I'm not getting that anymore. So I feel that's just that kind of alcohol. That's kind of completely worn off. It's staying with those nice, sweet, nice oak. Not in the forefront, it's definitely there at the back. Those coconut shavings are there. That tropical, that kind of banana hits there. A little bit of toffee to it. It's oily. It really grasps at the taste buds on it. I think this is a really quality single cask bourbon cask that's been used. It's simple, but yet quality. And I think sometimes it can be overcomplicated with marrying a lot of different casks to build something which, for instance, a brand uses, because they can't just constantly put out a single cask, they have to marry all together. So I think the Bruichladdich Classic Laddies, over like 50 different bourbon casks together, it gets married to bring a massive, massive outturn. Let's say 234 bottles of this. And I'm enjoying it. I love a good bourbon cask whiskey. This is up there. This is really, really quality. There's a nice dry note coming in at the end now. The alcohol seems to have kind of worn off, and it's more giving me what bourbon casks are like and what they can be, especially this is a Heaven Hill, which I can't really ever think of, well, knowing a distillery, because usually when you get single cask, will not really tell you where they come from, so being able to find that out is really good. I can get this whole conversation starter, I really, really can, because I think this would split a room with what flavours and tasting notes you can get. But for me, banana marshmallow, coconut, wood shavings, a little bit of toffee, and my palate again is just staying that oaky. It's oily. So coastal now. Tropical. No spice. Citrus. It's just a nice oak. There is. The wood kind of stays there. And the spice has disappeared. This is a cracking dram for me. I like it. I love it. As I say, I've always liked a good bourbon cask mature whiskey, and to find something single cask. Again, Bruichladdich being Bruichladdich with traceability. Put the cask number on there, so I'm pretty sure if we really wanted to know or had a visit, I could ask where that was stored and he'd point it out to me. That they won't hide much. But very, very enjoyable. Another good thing, as I say, is this has been aged on Islay, bottled on Islay. It's never came to the mainland. The only time it came to the mainland was in a bottle. So this is a true Islay malt. Bruichladdich. I like it. I think once this goes down a little bit more, I've given it a bit more time to settle, I'm going to like it even more. Easy to reach for. Unbelievably not 59.9% on my palate. It's crazily subtle for the ABV hit there. But a really good dram. I'll go back. I'll finish what I've got in the glass here. And then I think when I'm on my next kind of whiskey day, whiskey night, I'll take this with me, put it down as a conversation starter and pour a few drams for people and let's see what other people think of this. What I'll do here though is I'll raise a glass to James Nichol in memory of. You've had a cracking bottle here, you and Jamie, so if the wee angel shares come out and you've run out, this bottle's open in mine, so you can help yourself to that, to a wee angel share dram. So Slange, to yourself. And as always, I've been Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whisky. Join me next week. Let's talk whiskey. Slash.